Blithe Spirit, the third and final act.
I hope you will not consider this an intrusion, Mr. Condamine.
Not at all. Please sit down, won't you?
Thank you.
Would you care for some coffee or a liqueur?
Oh, no, thank you. I had to come, Mr. Condamine.
Yes.
I felt a tremendous urge like a rushing wind, so I hopped on my bike and here I am.
It was very kind of you.
No, not at all. Not kind. My duty. I know it strongly.
Duty?
I reproach myself bitterly, you know.
Oh, please don't. There's no necessity for that.
I allowed myself to get in a huff the other day with your late wife. I rode all the way home in the grip of temper, Mr. Condamine. I have regretted it ever since.
My dear Madame Arcati, please let me go on. Mine is the shame, mine is the blame. I shall never forgive myself.
Had I not been so impetuous, had I listened to the cool voice of reason, much might have been averted.
You told my wife distinctly that you were unable to help her. You were perfectly honest. Over and above the original unfortunate mistake, I see no reason for you to reproach yourself.
I threw up the sponge. In a moment of crisis, I threw up the sponge, instead of throwing down the gauntlet.
Well, whatever you threw, Madame Arcati, I very much fear nothing could have been done. It seems circumstances have been a little too strong for all of us.
I cannot bring myself to admit defeat so easily. It is gall and wormwood to me. I could have at least concentrated and made an effort.
Never mind.
I do mind. I cannot help it. I mind with every fibre of my being. I have been thinking very carefully, and I have also been reading up a good deal during the last few dreadful days. I gather that we are alone?
Yes. My first wife is not in the room. She is upstairs lying down. The funeral exhausted her. I imagine that my second wife is with her, but of course I have no way of knowing for certain.
You have remarked no difference in the texture of your first wife since the accident?
No. She seems much as usual. A little under the weather, perhaps. Perhaps a trifle low-spirited, that's all.
Well, that washes that out.
I don't understand.
Just a little theory I had. In the 19th century there was a pretty widespread belief that a ghost who participated in the death of a human being disintegrated automatically.
How do you know that Elvira was in any way responsible for Ruth's death?
Elvira. Such a pretty name. It has a definite lilt to it, hasn't it? Elvira. Elvira.
You haven't answered my question. How did you know?
Oh, it came to me last night, Mr. Condamine. It came to me in a blinding flash. I'd just finished my Ovaltine and turned the light out when I suddenly started up in bed with a loud cry. "Great Scott!" I said. "I've got it!" After that I began to put two and two together. At 3 a.m, with my brain fairly seething, I went to work on my crystal for a little. It wasn't very satisfactory. It was cloudy, you know.
I would be very much obliged if you would keep any theories you have regarding my wife's death to yourself, Madame Arcati.
My one desire is to help you. I feel I have been dreadfully remiss about the whole affair. Not only remiss, but untidy.
I'm afraid there's nothing whatever to be done.
But there is. There is. I have found a formula. This is it. I copied it out of Edmondson's Witchcraft and its Byways.
What the hell are you talking about?
Pluck up your heart, Mr. Condamine. All is not lost.
Now look here, Madame Arcati.
You are still anxious to dematerialize your first wife, I suppose?
Of course I am. I'm perfectly furious with her, but...
What?
Well, she's been very upset for the last few days. You see, apart from me being very angry with her, which she always hated, even when she was alive, Ruth, my second wife, has hardly left her side for a moment. You must see that she's been having a pretty bad time, what with one thing and another.
Your delicacy of feeling does you credit, but I must say, if you will forgive my bluntness, that you're a damned fool, Mr. Condamine.
You are at liberty to think whatever you please.
Oh, now, don't get on your high horse. There's no sense in that, is there? I have a formula which I think will get rid of her without hurting her feelings in the least. It's extremely simple and requires nothing more than complete concentration from you and a minor trance from me. I may even be able to manage it without lying down.
Honestly, I would rather—
Charles! Oh, what's she doing here?
She came to offer me her condolences.
They should have been. Congratulations.
Please don't say things like that, Elvira. It's in the worst possible taste. Oh, Madame Arcati, allow me to introduce my first wife, Elvira.
Ah, how do you do? Send her away. In what part of the room is she at the moment?
She's moving around rather rapidly. I'll tell you where she settles.
She's the one who got me here in the first place, isn't she?
Yes.
Well, please tell her to get me away again as soon as possible. I can't stand this house another minute.
Really, Elvira, I'm surprised at you.
I don't care how surprised you are. I want to go home. I'm sick of the whole thing.
Don't be childish, Elvira.
I'm not being childish, I mean it. Very interesting. A very definite smell of ectoplasm from your fireplace. That's a disgusting thing to say. Where is she now?
Here, close to me.
Ah, are you happy, my dear? Tell the silly old bitch to mind her own business. Was the journey difficult? Are you weary? She's dotty.
Just a moment, Madame Arcati.
This is wonderful, wonderful. Oh, for God's sake, get her into another room, Charles. I've got to talk to you.
Madame Arcati.
Just a moment. I almost have contact. I can sense the vibrations. Oh, this is magnificent.
Go on, Elvira, don't be a spoilsport. Give her a bit of encouragement.
If you promise to send her into another room.
All right.
Oh, I felt something by my ear. There it was again. How about the other one, dear? Oh, that was the other one. This is first rate, really first rate, absolutely stunning.
I am so glad you're pleased.
Now get rid of her. Ruth will be here in a minute.
Madame Arcati, would you think it frightfully rude if I asked you to go into the dining room for a moment? My first wife, wishes to speak to me alone.
Must I? It's so lovely being actually in the room with her.
Only a few minutes. I promise she'll be here when you come back.
Very well. Hand me my bag, will you? It's on the settee. Here you are. Oh, you darling, you little darling. How good is she really?
I don't know.
Do you think she could get me back again?
But, my dear child.
Don't call me your dear child. It's smug and supercilious.
There's no need to be rude.
The whole thing's been a failure, a miserable, dreary failure. What high hopes I started out with.
You can't expect much sympathy from me, you know. I'm perfectly aware that your highest hope was to murder me.
Don't put it like that. It sounds beastly.
It is beastly. It's one of the beastliest ideas I've ever heard.
There was a time when you'd have welcomed the chance of being with me forever.
Your behaviour has shocked me immeasurably, Elvira. I had no idea you were so unscrupulous.
Charles!
Oh, stop crying.
They're only ghost tears. They don't mean anything, but they're painful.
You brought it on yourself.
Oh, that's right. Rub it in. It was only because I loved you. The silliest thing I did in my whole life was to love you. You were always unworthy of me.
That remark comes perilously near impertinence, Elvira.
I sat there on the other side, just longing for you day after day, I did really. All through your affair with that brassy-looking woman in the south of France, I went on loving you, and thinking truly of you. Then you married Ruth. Even then I forgave you and tried to understand, because all the time I believed deep inside you really loved me best. That's why I put myself down for a return visit. I had to fill in all those forms and wait about in drafty passages for hours. If only you died before you met Ruth, everything might have been all right. She's ruined you, absolutely ruined you. I hadn't been in the house a day before I realized that. Your books aren't a quarter as good as they used to be either.
That's entirely untrue. Ruth has helped me and encouraged me with my work, which is a damn sight more than you ever did.
That's probably what's wrong with it.
All you ever thought of was going to parties and enjoying yourself.
Shouldn't I have fun? I died young, didn't I?
You needn't have died at all if you hadn't been idiotic enough to go on the river with Guy Henderson and get soaked to the skin.
So we're back to Guy Henderson again, are we?
You behaved abominably over Guy Henderson, and it's no use pretending that you didn't.
Guy adored me. He was very attractive.
You told me distinctly that he didn't attract you in the least.
You'd have gone through the roof if I'd told you that he did.
Did you have an affair with him?
I would rather not discuss it if you don't mind.
Answer me. Did you or didn't you?
Of course I didn't.
You let him kiss you, though, didn't you?
How could I stop him? He was bigger than me.
And you swore to me.
Of course I did. You were always making scenes over nothing at all.
Nothing at all?
You never loved me a bit, really. It was all your beastly vanity.
You seriously believe that it was only vanity that upset me when you went out in the punt with Guy Henderson?
It was not a punt. It was a little launch.
I don't care if it was a three-masted schooner. You had no right to go.
You seem to forget why I went. You seem to forget that you spent the entire evening making sheep's eyes at that overblown harridan with the false pearls.
A woman in Cynthia Cheviot's position would hardly wear false pearls.
They were practically all she was wearing.
I'm pained to observe that 7 years in the echoing vaults of eternity have in no way impaired your native vulgarity.
That was the remark of a pompous ass.
There's nothing to be gained by continuing this conversation.
You always used to say that when you were thoroughly worsted.
Looking back on our married years, Elvira, I see now, with horrid clarity, that they were nothing but a mockery.
You invite mockery, Charles. It's something to do with your personality, I think. A certain seedy grandeur.
Once and for all, Elvira.
You never suspected it, but I laughed at you steadily from the altar to the grave. All your ridiculous petty jealousies and your fussings and fumings.
You were feckless and irresponsible and morally unstable. I realised that before we left Budleigh Salterton.
Nobody but a monumental bore would have thought of having a honeymoon at Budleigh Salterton.
What is the matter with Budleigh Salterton?
I was an eager young bride, Charles. I wanted glamour and music and romance. All I got was potted palms, 7 hours every day on a damp golf course, and a 3-piece orchestra playing Merry England.
It's a pity you didn't tell me at the time.
I did, but you wouldn't listen. That's why I went out on the moors that day with Captain Bracegirdle. I was desperate.
You swore to me that you'd gone over to see your aunt in Exmouth.
It was the moors.
With Captain Bracegirdle?
With Captain Bracegirdle.
I might have known it. What a fool I was. What a blind fool. Did he make love to you?
Of course.
Oh, Elvira.
Only very discreetly. He was in the cavalry, you know.
Well, all I can say is that I am well rid of you.
Unfortunately, you're not.
Yes, I am. You're dead, and Ruth is dead. I shall sell this house lock, stock, barrel, and go away.
I shall follow you.
I shall go a long way. I shall go to South America. You'll hate that. You're always a bad traveller.
It can't be helped. I shall have to follow you. You called me back.
I did not call you back.
Well, somebody did. It's hardly likely to have been Ruth.
Nothing in the world was further from my thoughts.
You were talking about me before dinner that evening.
Oh, I might just as easily have been talking of Joan of Arc. It wouldn't necessarily mean I wanted her to come and live with me.
She's rather fun, actually.
Stick to the point.
When I think of what might have happened if I'd succeeded in getting you to the other world after all, it makes me shudder. It does, honestly. It would be nothing but bickering and squabbling for ever and ever and ever. I swear I'll be better off with Ruth. At least she'll find her own set and not get in my way.
I get in your way, do I?
Only because I was idiotic enough to imagine that you loved me, and I felt sorry for you.
And I am sick of these insults. Please go away.
There's nothing I'd like better. I've always believed in cutting my losses. That's why I died.
Oh, all the brazen sophistry.
Call that old girl in again. Set her to work. I won't tolerate this any longer. I want to go home. Oh!
Oh, for heaven's sake, don't snivel.
Call her in. She's got to get me out of this.
I quite agree. And the sooner the better. Madame Marcotte, would you please come in now?
Is the darling still here?
Oh, yes, she is.
Where? Tell me where.
Over by the piano, blowing her nose.
Ah, my dear. Oh, my dear. Stop her fawning on me, Charles, or I shall break something.
Elvira and I have discussed the situation, Madame Arcati, and she wishes to go home immediately.
Home?
Well, wherever she came from.
You don't think she'd like to stay a few days longer, while I try to get things a little more organised? No, I want to go now.
No, she wants to go now.
I could come and be here with her. I could bring my crystal. God forbid!
We're both agreed. She must go as soon as possible. Please strain every nerve, Madame Arcati. Make every effort. You said something about a formula. What is it?
Well, if you insist.
I most emphatically do.
Oh, Charles!
Shut up!
I can't guarantee anything, you know. I'll do my best, but it may not work.
What is the formula?
Oh, it's nothing more than a little verse, really. It fell into disuse after the 17th century. I shall need some pepper and salt.
There's pepper in the dining room, and salt. I'll get it.
We ought, of course, to have some shepherd's wort and a frog or two, but I think we can manage without them. You won't be frightened, dear, will you? It's absolutely painless.
Will this be enough?
Oh, yes, I only need a little. Put it on the table. Now, let me see. Ah, yes. Sprinkle it. Just a soupçon. Right there, in the middle.
There we are.
This is going to be a flop, I can tell here and now. Now, a few snapdragons out of that vase, there's a good chap.
Right. You what?
Merlin does all this sort of thing at parties. He bores us stiff with it. Now then, the gramophone. In the old days, of course, they used a zither or reed pipes. We'd better have the same record we had before, I think.
Yes, of course. Whatever you think best.
I'll get it. Oh, if only Mr. Emsworth of the Psychical Research Society could see that record flying through the air. He'd have a fit, he would really. Oh, don't start it yet, dear. Now, sit down, Mr. Condamine. Rest your hands on the table, but don't put your fingers in the pepper. I shall turn out the lights myself. Whoa! Shucks, I'd nearly forgotten. I must just make this design in the salt. There, one triangle and oh, my writing. One half circle. And, yes, one little dot. There. What a waste of time. She's a complete fake.
Anything's worth trying.
I'm as eager for her to succeed as you. Don't make any mistake about that. But I'll lay you 10 to 1 it's a dead failure. Now, if your wife would be kind enough to lie down on the sofa.
Go on, Elvira.
This is sheer nonsense. Don't blame me if I get the giggles.
Concentrate. Think of nothing.
Oh, that's quite right. Hands at the sides, legs extended, breathe steadily. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. Is she comfortable?
Are you comfortable?
No.
She's quite comfortable.
Good. I shall join you in a moment, Mr. Condamine. I may have to go into a slight trance. If I do, pay no attention. Now, the music, and away we go. Oh, dear, it's the pepper.
Damn.
Please hold on to yourself, Mr. Condamine. Concentrate. Ghostly spectre, ghoul or fiend, nevermore be thou convened. Shepherd's wort and holy rite banish thee into the night. What a disagreeable little verse.
Be quiet, Elvira.
Shh. Is there anyone there? Is there anyone there? 1 rap for yes, 2 raps for no. Is there anyone there? Ah, good stuff. Is that you, Daphne? I'm sorry to bother you, dear, but Mrs. Condamine wants to return. Now, Daphne, dear, no. Do you hear what I said? Can you help us? Hold tight, Mr. Condamine. Oh! Hold the table tight, Mr. Condamine. It's trying to break away. Oh!
Oh, Lord. Madame Arcati, are you hurt?
Oh!
What on earth's happening?
She's in one of her damned trances again, and I'm here as much as ever I was.
God's sake, wake up!
Leave her alone. She's having a whale of a time. Oh! Ooh! If I ever do get back, I'll strangle that bloody little Daphne.
What happened? Nothing. Nothing at all.
Oh, yes, it did. I know something happened.
Well, you fell over and slid at the table. That's all.
Is she still here?
Of course she is.
Something must have gone wrong. Oh, make her do it properly. I'm sick of being messed about like this.
She's doing her best.
That something happened. I sensed it in my trance. I felt it. It shivered through me. At last, Charles, I thought you'd never get me back.
Ruth? Oh, no.
Not for just a year, but always.
Madame Arcati is sound asleep.
I'm not surprised. We've certainly put her through her paces, all to no avail. I must say I couldn't be more exhausted. It'll be daylight soon. That clock's always irritated me. It strikes far too slowly.
It was a wedding present from Uncle Walter.
Who's Uncle Walter?
Elvira's uncle.
Oh, well, all I can say is he might have chosen something a little more decorative. Well, if that really were all you could say, Ruth, I'm sure it would be a great comfort to us all. You can be as rude as you like, Elvira. I don't mind a bit. As a matter of fact, I should be extremely surprised if you weren't. Why? The reply to that is really too obvious.
I wish you two would stop bickering just for a minute.
This is quite definitely one of the most frustrating nights I've ever spent. The reply to that is pretty obvious, too. I'm sure I don't know what you mean. Skip it. Now listen to me, Elvira. If you and I have got to stay together indefinitely in this house, and it looks unpleasantly likely, we'd better come to some sort of an arrangement. What sort of arrangement?
You're not staying indefinitely in this house.
With you, then. We shall have to be with you.
I don't see why. Why don't you take a cottage somewhere?
You called us back.
I've already explained until I'm blue in the face that I did nothing of the sort.
Madame Arcati said you did.
Madame Arcati's a muddling old fool.
Well, I could have told you that in the first place. I think you're behaving very shabbily, Charles.
I don't see why. What could I have done?
We all agreed that as Elvira and I are dead, it would be right and proper for us to dematerialize again as soon as possible. That I admit. We have allowed ourselves to be subjected to the most humiliating hocus-pocus for hours and hours without complaining.
Without complaining?
We've stood up, we've lain down, we've concentrated. We've sat interminably while that tiresome old woman recited extremely unflattering verses at us. We've endured 5 séances. We've watched her fling herself in and out of trances until we're dizzy. And at the end of it all, we find ourselves exactly where we were at the beginning.
Well, it's not my fault.
Be that as it may. The least you can do is admit failure gracefully and try to make the best of it. Your manners are boorish to a degree.
I'm as exhausted as you are. I have had to do all the damned table-tapping, remember?
If she can't get us back, she can't. We shall have to think of something else.
She must. Anything else is unthinkable.
There's gratitude for you.
Gratitude?
Yes. For all the years we've devoted to you. You ought to be ashamed.
What about the years I have devoted to you?
Nonsense. You've been waited on hand and foot. Didn't we, Ruth? He's exceedingly selfish and always has been.
In that case, I fail to see why you were both so anxious to get back to me.
You called us back, and you've done nothing but try to get rid of us ever since. Hasn't he, Elvira? He certainly has. And now, owing to your idiotic inefficiency, we find ourselves in this mortifying position, where neither fish, flesh, nor fowl, nor whatever it is. Good red herring. It can't be.
Well, why don't you do something about it? Why don't you go back on your own?
We can't. You know perfectly well we can't.
Isn't there somebody over there who can help?
How do I know? I've only been here a few days. Ask Elvira. Oh, I've already told you it's no good. I've tried. No one could do a thing. The impetus has got to come from here. Perhaps darling Charles doesn't want us to go quite enough.
I certainly do.
Well, you must have a very weak will, then. I always suspected it. Oh, it's no use arguing. Wake up, Madame Arcati. Not another séance, please. No.
Please wake up, Madame Arcati.
Shake her. It might upset her. I don't care if it kills her.
Wake up, Madame Arcati.
Oh, what time is it?
5:10.
What time did I go off?
Over an hour ago.
That's curious. Very curious. Forgive me a moment. I must just make a note of that for my diary. Are they still here?
Yes.
How disappointing.
Have you any suggestions?
Well, we mustn't give up hope. Chin up. Never give in. That's my motto. This schoolgirl phraseology is driving me mad. Now then what? What do you say we have another séance and really put our shoulders to the wheel, Make it a real rouser.
Oh, for God's sake!
I might be able to materialise a trumpet if I try hard enough. It's better than nothing, you know. I feel as fit as a fiddle after my rest. I don't care if she materialises a whole symphony orchestra. I implore you not to let her have another séance.
Don't you think, Madame Arcati, perhaps we've had enough séances? They haven't achieved much, have they?
Rome wasn't built in a day, you know.
Well, I know it wasn't, but...
Well, then, cheer up. Away with melancholy.
Now, listen, Madame Arcati, before you go off into any further trances, I really think we ought to discuss the situation a little.
Good, an excellent idea. And while we're doing it, I shall have another of these delicious sandwiches. I'm as hungry as a hunter.
Would you like some more beer?
No, thank you. Better not.
Very well. I think I'll have a small whisky and soda.
Oh, make it a double and enjoy yourself. One day I intend to give myself the pleasure of telling Madame Arcati exactly what I think of her. You'll have to wait until she passes over, dear. Oh, I can wait.
She's been doing her best, you know.
Are the girls getting despondent?
Yes, I'm afraid they rather are.
We'll win through yet. Don't be downhearted.
If we're not careful, she'll materialise a hockey team.
Now then, Mr. Condamine, the discussion. Fire away.
Well, my wives and I have been talking it over, and they are both absolutely convinced that I, somehow or other, called them back.
Oh, very natural.
Well, I'm equally convinced I did not.
Love is a strong psychic force, Mr. Condamine. It can work untold miracles. A true love call can encompass the universe.
Well, I'm sure it can, but I must confess to you frankly that although my affection for both Elvira and Ruth is of the warmest, I cannot truthfully feel that it would come under the heading that you describe.
You may not know your own strength, Mr. Condamine.
I did not call them back, either consciously or subconsciously.
But, Mr. Condamine...
Oh, that is my final word on the subject.
Well, neither of them could have appeared unless there was somebody, a psychic subject in this house, who wished for them.
Well, it wasn't me.
Perhaps it was Dr. Bradman. I never knew he cared. Are you sure? Are you really sure?
Absolutely positive.
Great Scott!
Is something wrong with the sandwich?
No. On the contrary, they're very nice. But I've just realised I'm barking up the wrong tree.
How do you mean?
I should be thinking Sudbury.
Should you?
The Sudbury case.
Ah, I'm afraid I don't understand.
Well, there's no reason why you should. It was before your day. I wonder. Oh, I wonder.
What was the Sudbury case? Please explain.
Well, it was the case that made me famous, Mr. Condamine. It was what you might describe in theatrical parlance as my first smash hit. I had letters from all over the world, especially India.
What did you do?
I dematerialised old Lady Sudbury after she'd been firmly entrenched in the private chapel for over 17 years.
How? Can you remember how?
Oh, yes. Chance, a fluke. It happened by the merest coincidence.
What fluke? What was it?
Wait, all in good time. Now let me see. Who was in the house during your first séance?
Well, only the Bradmans, Ruth and me, and yourself.
Yes, to be sure. But the Bradmans weren't here last night, were they?
No.
Quickly, my crystal.
Oh, here, you left it here.
Oh, damn the thing, it gives me the pip. It's cloudy again. Ah, that's better. It's fair again, it's fair. I am beginning to understand.
Well, I wish I was. What is there again?
A bandage. A white bandage. Hold on to a white bandage.
But I haven't got a white bandage.
Shh! She's too good, you know. She ought to be in a circus.
Beep!
you in nook or cranny, answer me. Be you in still room or closet, answer me. Be you behind the panel, above the stairs, beneath the eaves, walking, waking, or sleeping? Answer me! Answer! That ought to do it, or I'm a Dutchman.
Do what?
Shh, wait. 1, 2, oh, for God's sake, don't let her throw any more garlic about. It nearly made me sick last time. 3.
Would you like the gramophone on, or the lights out?
No, no, it's near, it's very near. I hope it's nobody we know. I do feel so silly. Did you ring, sir?
The bandage! The white bandage! No! Edith?
Sorry, sir. I could have sworn I heard the bell, or someone calling. I was asleep. I don't rightly know which it was.
Come here, child.
Oh!
It's all right. Go to Madame Arcati. Don't worry. Who do you see in this room, child?
Oh, dear.
Answer, please.
You, madam.
Go on.
The master.
Anyone else?
Oh, madam.
Look again.
I don't understand, sir.
Come, child, do not beat about the bush. Look again.
Oh, madam.
Do you see anyone else now?
No.
Ah, she's lying. Oh, madam, they always do, they. Where are they now?
By the fireplace.
Ah! She can see them. She can see them. Probably not very clearly, but enough.
Let me go. I haven't done nothing. I haven't seen nobody. Let me go back to bed.
Give her a sandwich. Here you are.
I don't want a sandwich. I want to go back to bed.
Edith, here.
A big, healthy girl like you saying no to a delicious sandwich? I never heard of such a thing. Sit down. Please, sir,
Please do as Madame Arcati says, Edith.
I haven't done anything wrong.
Well, it's all right. Nobody said you did.
If she's been the cause of this unpleasantness, I will give her a week's notice tomorrow. You may not be here tomorrow.
Look at me, Edith.
Cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo. Oh, dear, what's the matter with her? Is she balmy? The jury's out on that one, dear.
Here, Edith, this is my finger. Look. Have you ever seen such a long, long, long finger? Look now. It's on the right. Now it's on the left. Backwards and forwards it goes. Very quietly, see, backwards and forwards. Tick-tock, tick-tock, tick-tock.
The mouse ran up the clock. Be quiet, you'll ruin everything.
Oh! Now, so far so good. She's completely under. She's a natural, just the same as the Sudbury case. It really is a most amusing coincidence. Now, would you ask your wives to stand close together, please? Yes, of course. Where? Over there, by you. Yes, Elvira, Ruth. I resent being ordered about.
I don't like it at all. I don't like any of it. I feel peculiar.
I'm afraid I must insist.
It would serve you right if we flatly refused.
Are you sorry for having been so mischievous, Edith?
Oh, yes, madam.
You know what you have to do now, don't you, Edith?
Oh, yes, madam.
I believe it's going to work, Charles.
Oh, dear.
Hush!
But this is goodbye, Charles. Tell her to stop for a minute. There's something I want to say before I go.
Well, you should have thought of it before. It's too late now.
Well, of all the mean, ungracious... Charles, listen, just a moment.
Lights!
I saw Captain Bracegirdle again, Charles, several times. I went over 400 with him twice when you were in Nottingham, and I must say I couldn't have enjoyed it more. Ah! Don't think you're getting rid of us quite so easily, my dear. You may not be able to see us, but we shall be here. I consider that you have behaved atrociously over this whole miserable business. I should like to say here and now, oh, splendid! Hurrah! We've done it! That's quite enough now, Edith. Thank you very much.
Shall I put the lights on?
No, I will.
They've gone? They've really gone?
Yes, I think we've pulled it off this time.
Well, you'd better wake her up, hadn't you? She might bring them back again.
Yes, of course. Wake up, child! Oh, good heavens! Where am I?
It's all right, Edith. You can go back to bed now.
Is it morning?
Well, yes. Yes, I rather think it is.
I was in bed. How did I get down here?
I rang, Edith. I rang the bell and you answered it quite properly, didn't I, Madame Arcade?
Did I drop off? Do you think it's my concussion again? Oh.
Yes, I expect that was it. So off you go, Edith. Thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed. Here, take this.
Oh, sir, a whole pound? Whatever for? Oh, sir!
What? What did you mean by that?
Golly, what a night! I'm ready to drop in my tracks.
Would you like to stay? There's a spare room, you know.
Oh, no, thank you. Each to his own nest. I shall pedal home in a jiffy. It's only 7 miles.
I'm deeply grateful to you, Madame Arcade. I don't know what arrangements you generally make, but I trust you will send in your account in due course.
Oh, good heavens, Mr. Condamine, it was a pleasure. I shouldn't dream of such a thing.
But really, I feel that all those trances...
Oh, I enjoy them, Mr. Condamine, thoroughly. I always have since a child.
Perhaps you'd give me the pleasure of lunching with me one day soon.
When you come back, I shall be delighted.
Come back?
Oh, yes. Take my advice, Mr. Condamine, and go away immediately.
But, Madame Arcade, you don't mean that...
This must be an unhappy house for you. There must be memories both grave and gay in every corner of it. Also...
Also what?
There are more things in heaven and earth, Mr. Condamine. Just go. Pack your traps as soon as possible and go.
You don't mean they might still be here?
Quien sabe, as the Spanish say.
I wonder... Yes, I'll follow your advice, Madame Arcade. Thank you again.
Goodbye, Mr. Condamine. It's been fascinating from first to last. Fascinating. Do you mind if I take just one more sandwich to munch on my way home?
Oh, by all means.
Don't trouble, I can find my own way. Cheerio once more. Good hunting.
Ruth? Elvira? Are you there? I know damn well you're there. So I just want to tell you, I'm going away. There is no point in you hanging about any longer. I am going a long way away. Somewhere I don't believe even you will be able to follow me. For in spite of what Elvira said, I don't think spirits can travel over water. Is that quite clear, my darlings? You said in one of your more acid moments, Ruth, that I had been hag-ridden all my life. Well, how right you were. But now I am free. Free, Ruth dear. Not only of Mother and Elvira and Mrs. Winthrop Llewellyn, but free of you too. And I should like to take this farewell opportunity of saying I am enjoying it immensely. Ah, yes, I thought so. Well, very silly, Elvira, to imagine that I didn't know about you and Captain Bracegirdle. I did. But what you didn't know was all the time I was extremely attached to Paula Westlake. Ha ha! I was really faithful to you, Ruth, but I doubt if it would have lasted much longer. You're becoming increasingly domineering, you know, and there's nothing more off-putting than that, is there? Goodbye for the moment, my dears. I expect we're bound to meet again one day, but until we do, I'm going to enjoy myself, as I've never enjoyed myself before. Yes, you can break up the house as much as you like. I'm leaving it anyhow. Think kindly of me, and send out good thoughts. Nice work, Ruth. Get Elvira to help you. Persevere. Goodbye again. Parting is such sweet sorrow. You have been listening to Blithe Spirit by Noel Coward, performed by Matthew Jones. Thank you for listening. Do consider subscribing or visiting my other websites in the description box below.